Welcome to Office Hours, guys. So this is the fifth edition of our Office Hours, and we are doing our release. Um, yeah, we're doing our release 50.0.59. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of new features that we've introduced. This has been a big release for us. So we're going to be taking our time and walking you through the demos. So firstly, to introduce our speakers, we have Samarthya here from the engineering team and myself from Adi from the product team itself. Yep. So right into it, the new features that we have lined up are parallel releases, linking your Git accounts using apps, the release approve workflow, and how you can do selective release from your CLI itself. Now, just a quick brief about these features. So parallel releases enables you to run multiple selective releases at the same time, which prevents multiple conflicts and also allows you to do easy rollbacks. We'll be going through each of these features in detail and giving you a live demo, but this is just to give you an overview. We also have the release approval workflow, which allows you to set custom conditions based on when, and where you want your releases to be blocked or approved. This has granular RBAC that you can set, and also tool integrations, like you can set it up with Jira, for example. The next is app-based integration. So earlier we used to connect our Git accounts using the PAD tokens. Going forward, you can connect them using native apps for all the three major providers like Git, GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. This will remove the need for personal tokens or refreshing your personal access tokens itself. The next interesting feature is how you can do a selective release from the CLI. So you will have two new CLI commands that gives you sort of the capability to do your releases from the CLI. So this ensures that you don't have to disrupt your workflow to do a release itself, and you can also get uh, your exit codes there uh, based on how you're building your pipelines, right? And this helps you also to build your pipelines. Yeah. So, yep. Now to the interesting bit where we'll be showcasing the features onto the feature demos. So over to you, Samarthya. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Adi. Like as the name says, parallels. So clearly, you guys will get the idea that this is about releasing our resources parallelly rather than waiting for them to be queued and then get executed. Or if there's something that is very urgent and it is in queue, either you have to delete the previous queue members, and also like obviously if there's a release, then you have to wait for it. So we have come up with a solution where the users where in teams where there are many users and they have exclusive teams for certain microservices. In that case, they want to release two things, three things at a time. So this is something that we came out we solved out of the box, and we have like obviously like Adi mentioned, uh, intelligent conflict solutions. So there, if there are resources which are already in some releases, so you don't want the states to be in conflicts with each other. So for this, we came up with a solution where if there's a full release going on, you can trigger another resource uh, which you want to release parallelly. And as so if that resource is not in conflict with any other resource that is already getting released or deployed in the full release, it will get deployed parallelly. Otherwise it will fail with a release failure message that you can retry again. So this is sort of a rare case. Generally we can assume that the user that who's triggering the parallel release will be aware whether that resource is going deployed in the ongoing full release or not. So without further ado, I'll just quickly show you how to configure all this and how can we go ahead and do the parallel release part. Let me just share my screen. Adi, can you stop sharing? I have to share my screen. Okay. So this is a control plane level setting, which is present in the organization settings. You can just go to the general. Here we have two values that you have to decide. The maximum number of parallel releases. So let's say you enable the parallel release, and you want to have, like, let's say 5, 4, or any number of parallel release that you want to go, like, you want to have across all the blueprints and the environments. You can just set it up. For demo purpose, I am just going to keep it as 2, just to show what happens once you reach this limit and you try to trigger another release. Generally, the default value is going to be 10 for the customers. I'll just save the changes here. Okay. Uh, let's just go and select a project first. So I'll be using this environment here, and I have already configured some of the resources because, like, I can proudly say that we have very less release time for the resources, and there might be a case where you may want to actually see the parallel releases going on, but the other release, by the time you trigger the second release, the first one is already released. So I have just configured some of the services here. I'll just trigger this one, apply. So you can see that it is started, and then I'll trigger another release here. Okay, you can see this one is already going in progress. Now I'll be trying another release. Since I've shown you the limit is 2, this should ideally go into queue. Let's see that. So you can see that this release is queued. Like everything else in our life, there's a catch here, which is that you can only do this for Helm updates. Basically, it means that you can only do it for the services, not for all the resources. And if you try to do that, let's just wait for one of the releases to complete, then you will see that it is also going to get queued. So this is some resource which is not of type service. This is ALB. Okay, so it is still in progress. Let's wait for 7 more seconds. Okay, so this is the queued release. So you can see two of the releases went. There was a failure in one of the release because they might be conflicting with each other. And in this case, if you try to trigger a full release, so you can trigger a selective release over a full release, which will go parallelly. But if you try to trigger a full release over an already going in progress release, it will get queued. This is for keeping the state of all the resources secure, and we do not want the Terraform state to get hampered. That's why we have gone with this approach. And, like, if I try to release this resource as well, it will also get queued. So yeah, this is something that you guys will get more understanding as you try it. And the reason for keeping the maximum value as 10, like, which is the default value, is that if you increase it to some random number which is very high, then it is going to incur in some cloud cost, because obviously if you are going to have multiple leases, there are going to be multiple pods which are going to be spent for the deployments. That's why it's advisable to, like, have a number which is cost effective, and it also like allows you to actually use the feature without actually waiting for the release to to go parallel, sorry, without waiting for the releases to be deployed from queue. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And I'll be taking up the questions for this at the end of the session. You guys can just put those questions in the chat. Moving on to the second feature, which was release approval. So yeah, I'll just explain about it here only. Like Adi can share the slide later. So the reason for that is for better governance and to have more control over the resources that you want. Uh, to be going in the deployment. You don't want some new guy or some newbie to mess it up by releasing something in production environment that and like obviously face the consequences of it. Uh, so we came up with something called release approval. So in this case, what is going to happen is you can trigger a release, but if it is something that requires someone, a super user or a break glass user, like who has basically an admin who has more understanding about this, so in that case that an approval will be required from that person, and like without his approval you can't release anything into the production environment. So uh, for this, what you have to do is like you must be aware about the blueprint repo that gets created in your Git account. So you can see this is infra dev sample stack. So this is for one of our project, infra dev. So in GitHub setting, you can see we have this infra dev sample stack. Okay, so this is the blueprint repo for this project. And if you go here, so I am here, and here you have to add your own script. So obviously this script will vary for each use case, but the basic understanding is it should give some exit code whether this requires an approval or not. So in this case, what we are trying to do is basically we are just going to see that if you see in this environment, we are printing the environment name, and here in this case, we are checking if the environment name is GCP infradev. So this is not for all the environments, or because not all the environments are going to be prod. So for simplicity's sake, we just consider this as our production environment. This is GCP infradev. So if this environment is equals to environment name, like for any environment, if they trigger a release, it will come up here and will check the environment name. And if it matches, then it will exit with a code 2, which basically means that it requires an approval. If it is something which does not require approval, which does not requires approval, it will be exit code 0. So we'll be providing with this with in documentation, and obviously you guys can connect with us anytime and we'll help you out with this one. And once you have the script in your blueprint, what all you have to do is just go here, and this was infradev, right? So in this project, let's move to this environment, GCP infradev uh, releases. Okay, so currently there are no active releases, and if we try to trigger any release in this environment, ideally it should not get succeeded, and it should like ask for an approval. So let me just try that. It's a full release. So acha, so as you can see, there's already a pending approval. So this is actually a good example of this feature. If something is already in pending approval, this means that you can't release anything further, right? So the next release is actually queued. So either you can reject it or approve it. So I'll just approve this one, and this will take precedence over the queued release, and it will go into the next state. And also, like this approval permission is present in the like by default we provide it to the admins. If you want it to be in custom roles, you will have to create a custom role and attach it to the user or to a user group who have the basically who should have the authority to approve or reject it. Already have it. That's why I'm able to see this sign. Otherwise, it will be grayed out for developers or other users. So you can see the queued release is still queued, this, and the other release is in progress. So let's wait for this release to complete. In the meanwhile, I'll just explain a bit about the new statuses here. So, besides the usual suspects, success, failure, invalid, we have provided two new, sorry, not two, three statuses here. One is rejected. So, I tried to trigger a release, right? Uh, and it was rejected because, like, I didn't want, after seeing the logs, I didn't want that release to go ahead. So, it is rejected. Then before this, you might have seen that it was in pending approval. So that's the second stage. Once it is triggered by an user and it requires an approval, it will go into the pending approval state. And once you approve it, so you will mark it, like it will get marked as approved, and the new release which will get triggered. So you can see, this is the approved release. It got failed for some reason. Like obviously there might be some resource conflicts. I just took a resource at random. There's nothing to worry about that one here. You can see there's a label here. This is an approved release and it was triggered by bot. And if you go ahead and see the metadata, you will see that who approved it. That will also be there. So this queued release got like went into in progress, and similar case will be there for this one. I'll just also explain about this case here. You can see I raised the request for this selective release, and in the next step, which was the approved release, which is the bot release here, the release type is apply selective plan. So like as the name suggests, like you might have seen, like for the users who are doing plan first before actually releasing something, this is internally going to be a same flow, and yeah, you can just go ahead and do the same part. I'll just reject it again, so just to show you like what happens once you reject it. So yeah, there's no new release triggered, and you can see the status has been changed to rejected. Yeah, so this is a very handy feature for those who are like worried about anything like going to production which is not signed off by admins or the super users or the security team. This is a feature for them, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Over to
Yep,
you.
yep, Samatya, thanks. I'm just going to share my screen again. Yep, hope that's visible. Yep. So quickly, just a recap of how parallel releases can help you. You can execute multiple selective releases. These are especially for teams who want to move fast. If you're having multiple selective releases happening in the same environment, you can do that. If there are non-conflicting releases, then to minimize delays, this is super helpful. And again, like you mentioned, conflict management and flexible rollbacks are something that the panel release enables. And with release approval workflow, like Samarthi was mentioning, uh, if you're a team that focuses on obviously all of us are focusing on moving fast, but we don't want to break things. And if you want like a supervisor and an admin to sign off releases before they go into production, then this is the perfect feature for you. Uh, they are secure and controlled releases. There are automated or manual checks, and you can have granular RBAC for who has access to approve or reject releases. And the great part is you can also integrate it with Jira for ticketing and your approval tracking itself. So if you're looking to set up any of these features, you can explore it from the UI, or you can just sort of reach out to any of us from the team, and we'd be happy to sort of walk you through with it again, and also get your feedback on how what you think and how you want to use it as well. Yep. So coming to the next feature, which is the app-based Git integration. So this going forward, we will only support the app-based flow. We used to support integrations using pad tokens, which we will no longer support. If your existing integrations are running on the pad token, we will continue to support it. And even if you want to update your token, we will continue to support it. But while you're linking a new account, you can use the app to integrate it into facets. So we support all three major providers like Git, Bitbucket, GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitLab. With this, we eliminate the need for managing your tokens. You earlier had to renew your tokens on facets. With this, your tokens are auto renewed, and you do not have the additional overhead of these. These are also more secure, and you can grant granular organization level permissions for your GitHub or for your groups or workspaces on GitLab and Bitbucket, respectively. And we did this because our core philosophy is that you should focus on deployments and none of the other overheads. And this sort of you just integrate once, and you continue to deploy forever without worrying about all these native integrations into your Git provider. Yep. So a quick demo. You guys can see my other screen as well, right? Yep. All right. So I'll just link my GitHub account. Show you. I'm just going to add. Yep. So now I'm redirected to GitHub, where I can either choose my organization. So as you can see, like it's already installed on these organizations. So I'm just going to choose my personal account. I can either give it access to all repos or only select repositories based on what I want. So for now, since it's my personal account, I'm just giving it access to all my repositories. Yep. So once the installation is done, we will be redirected back uh, to the original page. And yes, as you can see, the setup is done, right? So similarly for GitLab and Bitbucket, you can use native apps to integrate your accounts. And with this, you eliminate the need of, again, like we said, managing it. And one additional thing, while you're linking your GitLab and Bitbucket accounts, you would have to choose the group for GitLab that you would want to give it access to, and for Bitbucket, the project key and the workspace, right? So yep. So you can see that the new integration is live. Yep. So I think we have one more feature demo. So over to you, Samadhya. Before that, uh, yep, you can now share your screen. Yeah. Yep. And
Yeah, so I hope my screen is visible. Uh, Coming late to the party, we have CLI releases. So let me just quickly show you that what this feature is all about. So this was something that like with customers use cases, we got to know that customers are like moving towards GitHub Actions and all, and they want to have certain like actions done, like or operations done after they have like released the resources, and they don't want to come to UI and make the changes. So for the convenience and for the ease of use, we came up with this facets release wait commands. And we have two commands actually: release sync and release wait. So this is purposely for the selective releases, because obviously you are going to push the image or the artifact for a particular service only, and in those cases you want to just do the release while you are pushing the artifact. So we came up with this, and we have two commands here: facets ctl release sync and facet ctl release wait. So there's a small difference between the two. So what it does is, once you trigger a release, right, it will immediately give you the response back, and it will not wait for the actual release or the terraform release getting deployed. Wait for its completion basically. And then we have the other one, facet ctl release wait. So what it will do is, it will go ahead and trigger the selective release for the particular app or the service, uh, and it will wait for the release to get successful and give you the response back. So in the response we have exit codes here. So those are already going to be documented, but I'll just tell you that if a release is successful, then you are going to get a zero as exit code, and if it is not, then you are just going to get a non-zero exit code. And for this you need facet ctl v3. I have commands with me. I'll just quickly show that to you. So I'm assuming you already have this npmi uh, command to install it, and then what you have to do is just log in. So I'll just copy it from here. Okay, so you can see the login was successful. And then we have the other command. Before firing this command, I'll tell you about this command first. So this is the wait command I'm doing. Before wait, let me try with sync first. Okay, so here we are going to have the comma separated value. Then P is for the project name and E is for the environment name. And the app here is HTTP echo. So we should ideally have something which needs to be synced, right? Or basically it needs to be deployed. So if I fire this command, it is just going to do it immediately. Starting sync process and done. So immediately you got the response. And now if I try the wait command, before doing this wait command, let me add a flag here, which is actually something, even though this flag is optional, it is advisable to use this one. So with this sync flag, it is going to trigger a selective release as well if it is already uh, the resource is out of sync. If that is the case, then you ideally want to have the release triggered as well. So if we go here, just move it here, and which resource I'm going to use? Let me use some other project. Let me make some changes to this resource. What I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to change this timeout. Okay, I'll just make it 50. So obviously you have a pending change, and if I try to trigger this release, so waiting for apps to sync, and in meanwhile we go here. So you can see that release triggered, right? So this is in conjunction with the parallels I just told you about. There's already a pending approval release, so that's why you are seeing this. But in ideal scenario where you don't have the parallels is enabled, oh sorry, I'm sorry, I got confused there. This is in conjunction with release approval, and here, if you can see that this is already in pending approval, that's why this new release, which is for this resource, uh, was queued. If I just reject it, and okay, so this is still in progress. Like I told you, the difference between the two commands, the first command, the sync command, it just triggers the release, and the second command, if there's indeed a resource which needs to be uh, synced, or basically meaning that it has any changes, then it will wait for the release to complete, and accordingly you will get the response. So yeah. Oh, for some reason it is queued. I feel like the queue is already busy, or yeah, I think the parallels are also enabled here, and we have many environments running, and we only have two limits. So let me check if someone else is running something in the environment. This is probably a issue. We have this one. Not sure. Like maybe it is happening somewhere. I'll just disable it for now and try to re-trigger it. And this can be maybe part of a queue. Yeah, so you can see that release has started. uh yeah, so that's all from my end.
Yep. Thanks for the demo, Samatya. I'm just going to share my screen again. Yes. Yep. Again, so I think a lot of sort of releases, um, sort of capabilities have been unlocked with our new release. Um, I think, especially again for teams that are moving fast, who want to enable their developers to just do selective releases from their UI. I think this would be super helpful. So if you're looking to set this up, we can share a runbook with you, or you can just reach out to one of us from the team, and we'll be happy to walk you through it as well. Yeah. And that is it for our feature demos. So a quick view into what's going to be coming in our next releases. So this is something that the facets team is working on right now. So the first is inner sourcing. So this would be the ability to create your own custom modules and reuse them across your organization through facets. So we're working on this. So if you have any inputs or if you have any feedback regarding this, feel free to get in touch with any of us, the infrastructure, the developers, or the product team, and we'd be happy to just take feedback and understand your use cases for this as well. And besides this, we also are introducing a feature. You would have earlier known the maintenance window. Along this, we'll also have a maintenance release, which means you will get infrastructure updates without any user intervention. Um, yes, so you wouldn't have to do a full release or anything to update your infrastructure. We will set a certain window, and all the maintenance related releases will happen during that window. If you have any feedback, or if you faced these scenarios, we are happy to take your feedback on these as well. And until next time, that's pretty much it. Thanks, Samarthya, and see you guys next time.